everyone. Here I am again with another Freedom to Feel conversation with Gabriel Cousens. So I will introduce him briefly and then I'll ask him to introduce himself. Gabriel Cousens has been a holistic physician for 50 years. He's a doctor of divinity, diplomat of the American Board of Integrative Holistic Medicine, diplomat Ayurveda. He's a physician of the soul, psychiatrist, family therapist, founder of the Holistic Liberation Way and the Tree of Life Foundation. He's also a spiritual master. Gabriel is happily married to Shanti Gold's Cousens for many years with two adult children in their 50s and three teenage granddaughters. That's really kind of opens the heart when you think about family in a whole. Yeah, when you sent that to me, it was kind of it's interesting to see. So he's also an author actually of many books, but the one that we'll be talk about today, the one we'll discuss, is the title "Into the Nothing: A Spiritual Autobiography." So this is my brief introduction to Gabriel, but in his own words, who are you?
Okay, there's a few levels to that. First, I'm a holistic physician of the soul in the outer world. In the outer world, I'm a father of two 50-year-old adult children who we talk with every week and very close to, and a grandfather of three teenage daughters. And that's a lot of fun, and very happily married to my wife, Shanti Gold's Cousens, who's a yoga teacher. And so one of the things we do is I do a lot of yoga. I take care of myself. Today I hit 2,000 push-ups. Not
Wow.
today, yesterday.
Wow.
You know that. But one of my messages as to who I am, but the media is the message, is really we can get younger, stronger, and more flexible with age.
Yeah.
That's a huge message because it's completely opposite what people are taught.
Right.
So at 80, I'm
Yeah.
doing all these different things, sitting in lotus, doing yoga, 2,000 push-ups at one time. It's like, okay, what's going on? And
Right.
dancing, you'll see me dancing in a minute because I
Yes.
love the spiritual dance.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so those are two levels. In the spiritual plane, I've been acknowledged by my two uh, spiritual masters from India, and as liberated, as you mentioned. But on the other deepest level, I'm free of the illusion that there's a person called Gabriel who exists in time, space, and energy
Right.
and beingness, and that I really see myself, particularly it's supported every day in meditation because you merge into the nothing, you disappear.
Right.
And so no, I don't see myself as the illusion of a body or as a male or as a female or whatever.
Right.
It's all an illusion. So that's kind of at the deepest level. There's only that and merge with that. So I see myself in a way, and I think part of the reason I do that is that we are interdimensional beings.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I'm not just this, I'm not just, but I'm doing all these things. There's the
Right.
outer world. I have about 26 different humanitarian programs around the world. We do a lot of work with preventing diabetes, Africa, Brazil,
Yeah.
Mexico, Central America, obviously US, Canada. So these are service, is part of my life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the picture. So it's a holistic physician of the soul.
Yeah. I love that, Gabriel. What's not to love about it? So yeah, I would love for you to introduce the audience to the history of the dance that represents spiritual joy. I love that. When I saw that in a video too, spiritual joy. So talk to me for a moment about that before we show the video. That will be right here after this.
Okay. So in a very simple way, particularly in the world today, people are not feeling very happy. And the truth is we are always filled with spiritual joy. That's just who we are. And it links us to the divine.
Right.
So when we dance, we just see me kind of dancing on the rooftops, our drummer stuff.
Yeah.
It's about activating the spiritual joy, which we always have, but activating it changes our perception of reality and links us to the divine. That's how I see it. There's a little explanation in the tape, but this is a tradition. We have the Sufis dancing. In India, we would have these 24 to 48-hour saptas where you're chanting non-stop and dancing, for 2 days. And then Miriam, when they crossed the Sea of Reeds out of Egypt, everybody dances for joy and brings that down. The women dance in a circle, which bring it down, the energy down. So all the traditions, also some African dancing gets mixed in there. So all the traditions dance for spiritual joy. And that's what I love to do. I love to dance.
Yeah.
I'm such a great singer, but I love to dance.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do. Now, what we also do as part of my direction from my gurus, my spiritual teachers, was to give what we call Shaktipat, or in the Torah tradition, biblical tradition, Haniham, Holy Spirit. So we're going to dance and then go into meditation. And that awakening energy can be by look, which is what we're going to do, and by touch and by sound. And I received it by breath. We actually breathe into my mouth, which is very, very powerful. And I write about it in some of my books. Okay, and the mantra, if you don't have one, I'm not saying this is the only one, but if you don't, this is the mantra of grace that Moses received at the burning bush. And it's Yod on the in breath, Hey on the out breath, Wa on the in breath, Hey on the out breath. It's Yod from the base up to the heart, and then Hey out through the heart to the world. Wa from the base to the third eye, and then Hey out from the heart to the world. Merging the heart and mind. And we call it Hokmah Halev, wisdom of the heart. And when people are living in wisdom of the heart, it changes everything. You dance with the spiritual joy, and you're focusing on wisdom of the heart. Go ahead.
Yes, yeah, I'm like giving all this. So may we show the video now? The presentation, the dance.
All dance.
And we'll come back. Let's dance.
I welcome you all with love. Today in this interview, we will be talking about and demonstrating spiritual joy. Spiritual joy is the bridge to the divine. And in many traditions, people danced. The Sufis danced with spiritual joy. The dance of Shiva on the ego, spiritual joy. And the dance of Miriam with the circle of the women after crossing the Sea of Reeds. And today we're going to dance with spiritual joy, and I hope you choose to join me and start dancing with me. And here we go.
I see you dancing is it really represents freedom to me. That's what I feel, the feeling that the felt understanding, it's freedom. So is that what happens when we are liberated? There is more dance in a sense of movement. It's almost like having being more spacious in a sense, spacious enough to dance with everything that is in front of us, as the objects, the experiences, the emotions, the feelings. Is that did I understand that correct?
You completely got it right. So it's we call the Shiva Nataraj,
Yeah,
where Shiva is dancing on the ego,
yeah,
and it's a dance of liberation.
yeah,
And that's exactly it. There's the ego's like this little animal, so to speak. And
yeah.
in dancing, we've overcome the contraction of the ego, and we're dancing. And in the dance, we're free to move in any direction. That's
Right.
another thing that's important about liberation. Is you want to be free to move in
Mm,
any direction. You're
yeah.
not stuck with any concepts.
Right. Oh, Gabriel. That's a tough one for the mind, right? For the logical
Yeah,
mind.
and when we're dancing, we go beyond the mind.
Yeah. So the meditation, we would love to for you to share that now, and I'll be also the mantra. I don't have that with me, Gabriel. Is that okay to just follow you?
Yeah,
Okay, is that
I'll guide
okay?
people in,
Yeah.
and we'll dance, and we'll just go into meditation. Just focus on my eyes, because the energy coming through can help actually awaken the what we'll talk about, the kundalini energy or the Ruach HaKodesh in the Hebrew system. That's the whole point. That's
Yeah.
the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been told to do around the world. I've been
Yeah.
empowered by my teachers to do
Yeah.
that. Acknowledge, and then you got work to do.
Yeah. Yes. Right. I'm ready.
So let's go ahead into the dance and then into meditation. Okay, so we'll just take a moment and we'll dance.
Yes. Yeah.
While we're waiting, I'm just going to do a opening prayer, again merging the heart and the mind.
Yeah.
Shimikud kudashabrihu ushinate bi ilu or imulaihat shimyuke belovke. Yidashlam Shem Kuzrael Kolam. Amen. So feel the merging of your heart and mind as we get ready to do this spiritual dance. So let's just uh, focus on the in breath. Yod and the breath, hey, I'm up, wah, and the breath, hey, I'm up. Here we go. And we'll go in with the yod, which is the first letter out of the nothing, like an om. Same thing. Here we go. Yo. Just focus on my eyes for a moment. Okay, and now into meditation. We'll just meditate for a few minutes, okay?
Yeah. Yes.
4 minutes. It's good to close your eyes for this and go inward and just keep repeating the mantra until your mind is quiet. Then you're in meditation.
Yeah.
Yo. Slowly come out of meditation.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yes, I'm back. Wow.
Yes. I figured out a way we can get the dance in a little bit later. I have the music and I can just dance. It'll be okay.
Yeah, we have that video here. It's already actually there past us. But yeah, of course, if you want to dance again,
No, no, if you have the
please.
video, do it.
Please. So that felt really good. And I always pay attention to the colors because a lot of times I see colors. And today, a lot of times I see green. Today I saw purple, and I'm not sure if it was because of the colors around me here, but then green comes again. There's always green appearing when I close my eyes and meditate.
So the colors have different meanings.
Yeah,
The purple is the superconscious state. Green is more like a heart level of energy.
yeah. So
Okay,
that makes
the
sense.
superconscious is the purple and the white.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. The green often comes, yeah, the green. And I feel like a circling energy around the chest too, the heart
Yeah,
area.
that'd be your heart. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Gabriel. So would you like to uh talk a bit more about the Shaktipat meditation and also the your own experience with Kundalini awakening? I would love, and your spiritual path as well. I would love to for you to share that as well.
So the probably the easiest way to understand Kundalini, which is more poetically, it's the hand of God that leads you to God.
Right.
And there's two levels of Kundalini which merge into one. Okay. So one is what we call Shakti Kundalini,
Yeah.
and then there's the cosmic Kundalini. So the cosmic Kundalini comes down into us and, and stores itself at the base, under the base chakra. And then it waits till there's enough energy for it to awaken. Now, when it awakens, you have the Shakti Kundalini going up, Cosmic Kundalini coming down, and they kind of merge.
Right.
And it usually takes, I set up the first Kundalini clinic with Dr. Lee Sinella, 1975. And, some people it was a little imbalanced in, it could happen that way. That's never happened with me in 40 years of doing this, but of doing it, but it can happen. So we do a lot of work with balancing it. Okay, so um, the lineage helps balance it. So our lineage goes back to Shiva, actually.
Right.
That's how far it goes back. That's probably at least 8,000 years.
Yeah.
Okay, in City Yoga. So once it's awakened, it begins to move through the body, spiritualizing every aspect, spiritualizing your DNA. And literally, what that means is upgrading the frequency. It doesn't change the DNA structure,
Right.
it activates the frequency. Okay, it upgrades the frequency. It works on all the chakras, and it awakens the chakras so that they're working at their fullest kind of capacity. There's uh, each chakra has a what we call virti or thought form. Like the heart has 12 virtis,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
and 12 different thought forms, and the bindi has two different virtis. So each one has a different one. But all those get awakened and balanced. And I think that's the important thing to understand. So it goes through. Now there's 72,000 nadis, which are the subtle energy channels. Subtle nervous system. It's a little bit more subtle than the meridians.
Right.
Okay. And of those 72,000, there's three main ones called Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, which is the central channel. And in that, there's actually 3 other nadis. That's a little more detailed, but I'm trying to want to make a point
Right.
that the only nadi that really goes all the way up to the crown is what's called the Brahma nadi, which is inside the Sushumna. All the other flow stops at the third eye.
Ah,
So that's kind of important. You'll see in a minute why that's important.
right.
So, um, so its job is to spiritualize the body.
Mm.
We call that the physio kundalini. It's a term we created in 1975, and that can go on for 3 months to 3 years and so forth. And after that, often there's a shift where it's much more quiet and internally, where you're merging all the two into one.
Right.
And in that process, there's things we call grantis. Granti is called a knot. So there's a base granti, which is kind of a little bit below the first chakra.
Yeah.
There's a, like they call 3 rivers. I don't want to get too fancy, but Upta
Yeah.
and then the next one is in the heart, okay, Vishuddhanati, and then the next one is the third eye, Rudagranti,
Yeah.
okay. Now, most everything stops there, but, and this is how it was for me, is when I first had the awakening, receiving Shaktipat from Swami Muktananda, it went up and all the chakras lit up. I saw all the colors,
Yeah.
all this went on. And then I kind of went above into the nothing.
Yeah.
And then as it came down out of the nothing, that was my first real experience with that.
Right.
So you disappear. There's no you.
Mm. Yeah.
I was saying,
Yeah.
okay, like that was and the footnote to that is, it's one thing to say I went into nothing. It's another thing to say you're stabilized in the nothing. So
Yeah.
we want to distinguish between, oh, I had an experience, that's also very good, or you become stabilized in it.
Yeah.
Or it becomes your ongoing inner experience,
Right.
at least greater than 50%. Okay. So as it came down, then I saw a picture of Swami Muktananda's guru, Swami Nityananda, who's what we call an Abhidu, which is completely merged. Okay, and then it came down, and that was it initially. But then in the next week, I got what we call the church the stigmata. So I had my palms became very red and hot. The rash went up my spine, which was the kundalini doing its work. And so there was all that level, and I had a lot of back pain.
Oh, I did.
But I also was born with spina bifida occulta, which is L5 is fused to S1. And that's a problem. So, and without getting the details, I actually had a back operation.
Right.
So all this back pain is going on, and then by the time it was all done, no back pain forever.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so it heals on that level is what I'm
Right.
saying, and I think that's really important to understand. Is that was a profound healing. Well, it wasn't comfortable for a week or two, but it was profound. Now, I went back the next week and received Shaktipat again, and then I didn't really know pranayama, breathing exercises, and I went through. This time, it took me through all the breathing exercises.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this? What's going on? But the point is, it was activating my system. And when I came down out of the nothing again, it said you should learn to eat and live in a way that feeds Kundalini. Pretty simple message.
Right.
And that was the basis of my first book, Spiritual Nutrition and the Rainbow Diet.
Yeah.
1986. It's like, and then the more I researched, it's like, oh, how do you eat in a way to make sure the nadis have no obstruction? Well, that took me to really exploring a vegan diet, because meat, fish, chicken, and dairy have the energy of death. The animal
Oh,
dies, you're exploiting the animal, it's
right,
suffering, you take that into you,
right.
okay? And it affects you. And
Mm,
also you have the agitated fear, adrenaline, and so forth. So that actually agitates the mind. So
right.
it's clear you want to go plant-based only. And then the second thing I saw that made it really different was the live food. If people could get the 80% live food,
Yeah.
it's really clean energy and you can eat half as much.
Oh,
So I'm the same weight that I have been for the last 50 years.
yeah,
Okay, same weight as when I graduated high school, actually.
yeah.
You know, but when you're eating half as much and you're getting twice as much nutrition because you destroy 50% of the protein and 70 to 80% of the vitamins and minerals and 96% of the phytonutrients, well, you're not getting much nutrition.
Right.
So you can eat half as much. I actually only eat one meal a day.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But it naturally happens, you see. I'm not doing it as a discipline. I mean,
Mm, yeah,
it's going that way. And okay,
yeah,
that's why I'm doing the exercise. I'm doing this. I'm doing
right.
yoga. We're stretching. We're meditating.
Yeah.
It's a way of life. This is the
Mm,
key that I began to develop. Creating a way of life
yeah,
that can lead to liberation.
right.
And so and then over time, you get more and more, you get more established in that inner experience. Okay, I had it for an instant with this first step. Well, then it got more and more, until it becomes your reality.
Right.
It's not a theory. That's the point I'm making. It's not really a
Right.
theory.
Right.
So that's how I about the diet, but also what we call the six foundations.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the six foundations? Because this is the way of life. First, organic, 80% live vegan diet, number one. Number two, um, expanding the prana, sacred dance, pranayama, tai chi, qigong, there's a variety of ways. Three,
Right.
service and charity. That's what I do with the diabetes prevention. I mean, in 3 weeks, we heal 61% of people with diabetes, type 2.
Right. Wow.
It's supposed to be unhealable, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
61% in 3 weeks, not too bad, but
Yeah.
it's the diet. So 4 is spiritual practice, having a spiritual teacher, reading the spiritual books, having a group of people you connect with and who you support,
Yeah.
okay? We call it like a sangha, a
Yeah.
connection. 5th is meditation and prayer. And 6th is the activation of the kundalini, or what we call Shaktipat. Now, I later added from the Essene point of view, and there are Senios, Qumran people talk about, but also we talk about peace, sevenfold peace, peace of the body, which talk about peace of the mind, meditation, peace with the family.
Yeah.
Family is very important. Being at peace with the family is an art, but it grows you spiritually. And peace with the community, the larger community, the right frequency, how close, how far.
Yeah.
Then peace with all the cultures. I'm also a Native American Sundancer, so I'm across a few different cultures here.
Right.
Okay? And then peace, spiritual ecology, I call it peace with ecology,
Yeah.
and peace with God. And
Yeah.
when you're at peace with all those levels, that's a huge way of life.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about God because there's nothing to attain. We are it all.
Mm,
We just have to wake up to it.
yeah.
That's kind of the path as it's been for me.
Yeah.
And after 7 years on and off in India, my 2 gurus acknowledged me as being liberated. I didn't ask; they
Yeah.
told me.
Yeah.
With instructions. So okay, fine. That
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
But and then the work begins because you never stop growing.
Mm, yeah.
Well, you're not supposed to stop growing. There's a great Rabbi Nachman from Breslov. It's in what we call Ukraine today. And he says every time you get to a certain level, just realize you're a beginner.
Yeah.
Start over again.
Yeah.
And that is really important advice in spiritual life.
Mm.
We're all beginners. We're all starting over. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that it's not just about keeping humble. That's not for me. It's not it. What it is it's always an inspiration to take the next step.
Yeah.
You're never done.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, good. Just go deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the spiritual path has unfolded for me. And sacred relationship, I write a lot about that in this book too. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
is a path to liberation. You know, it's a more sophisticated than people talk tantra, which
Yeah.
most people think sex. This is about relationship.
Right.
This is about jumping into the nothing with intimacy. You know,
Yeah.
it really opens the heart in a different way.
Yeah.
So that's to me, particularly in the West, is a very important path of liberation.
Right. Wow.
So that kind of gives you an idea of how we do it. Now the kundalini is powering you all the way, and at some point,
Yeah.
you know, it completes because it's not the end of the road; it's the beginning. It's
Right.
uh, one way of putting it is kundalini, as I mentioned, is the power of God or hand of God that takes you God, but actually, it is the first awakening spiritually, and it
Right.
drives you to higher and higher levels. So I started pretty much what they recommend in the ashram is meditate an hour a day.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't working. I was meditating 3 hours a day and then 6 hours a day. Finally, I went
Wow.
to my friend and he said, "Well, I don't know if this is okay." He thought
Yeah.
that was funny. I go, "You
Yeah.
kidding me?"
Yeah.
So it drove me to meditate 6 hours a day. It
Wow.
drove me
Wow.
to chant because we did a lot of chanting, 4.5 hours a day. But that's not
Yeah.
a lot of sleep. I was getting up at 2:30 in the morning just
Yeah.
to get my 2 hours in, and then you know get the kids to the chanting meditation because the kids also participate.
Right.
It's part of the game.
Yeah.
No matter what age, but at that point, the last year, my kids were 5 and 8.
Yeah.
And they all participated, and they all did really well. So we underestimate our children.
Yeah.
What they can really do,
Right.
and then other things happen. I won't get too much into, but I learned different things happen. One is I got put in charge of dealing with people who had any imbalance with the kundalini because I was a psychiatrist and a medical doctor, and so I did the work in the clinic, a few hours a day. I did that.
Yeah.
But one time, my daughter, who's very sensitive, um, she's a production stage manager kind of on Broadway now. She started crying whenever we get to a certain point on our walk to the chanting, and like, what's going on? So it went on for days, and finally I went to look down. He said, "There's a demon next door who's disturbing your daughter, and it's freaking her out." He didn't use those words.
Right.
And he said, "Now it's your job to get rid of it."
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So he told me how to do it. I went out there and just by myself and faced it and did the prayers and mantras and things, and it's gone. No more crying.
Right.
Done. So we learn different things.
Right.
Okay. And that's part of some of the work I do actually. Is people have entities, demons and stuff with the drugs and all the different things. So you have unexpected consequences as well.
Yeah. It sounds like it. So it is Kundalini. It is a practice, but it can also happen spontaneously, right, Gabriel?
Yes.
For some
Yes.
people, I have heard.
A lot of times, or sometimes, women in giving birth
Ah.
can have an awakening of Kundalini. That's the most common spontaneous thing I've seen.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Birth.
because it's like that base chakra being activated, and if you're really on the edge, it can happen.
Right.
Don't know about it, you think something's wrong. That was our work, is say it's fine, it's good.
Right. Right.
You know.
Right.
Also, people who meditate a lot,
Yeah.
and they don't know what's
Mm,
going on. They're having a spontaneous wake in the kundalini. It's
yeah.
like, so that's why we set up a kind of an international service. And usually, just one session, people would just relax. It's, look, you earned it. You have been meditating hours a day, and you're doing this, or you just gave birth, and this is what happened. It's like it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's how I
Wow.
kind of do that.
And is that Kundalini awakening? Is that a path? It's not for all of us, right, Gabriel? For some of us. And how do we recognize that that's our path?
Well, I never thought about it as a path.
Yeah.
The path is the pathless path.
Right.
Everybody's different,
Yeah.
which is what you're saying. But
Yes.
but somewhere along the line, it will awaken.
Yeah.
It's part of the process. So
Right.
in the Kung tribesmen in the Kalahari Desert in Africa, they do a special process for awakening the Nun, N-U-M,
Yeah.
and they dance and they have awakening. So they're aware of that, right?
Yeah.
You have in the Buddhist path, you have that. Obviously, we have Jesus creating the fire above his disciples' heads, and that's that's Kundalini we're talking about. You see, it's just different terms.
Right.
And we call it the Ruach HaKodesh or Hana, and Moses touches Yahushua and the spirits in him. That's what's going on. Or Abraham has what we call Kriyas, and it's black, and and then he gets a vision of God. So it's in all the different traditions. It does happen. People just don't give it a name. So I
Yeah.
see it as just part of the process. The real process is the 6 foundations, 7-fold peace, and generic, if you get what I'm saying. It's a way of life that brings all that about. And then awakens, whether it's through giving birth.
Yeah.
But that's not your path.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
Because you were ready to have it happen.
Right. I love that. I love your message of this way of living. It's in a way spiritualizing everything, our thoughts, our actions, everything we do. It's that has the flavor, the spiritual
Yes.
flavor to it. Yeah.
It's a very fun way to live.
Yeah, I love that.
It's like, oh, this is fun.
Yes.
And everything.
Right. And I'm listening to you speak of the vegan diet and about the meat is kind of it relates to death. But we do know that life and death it's one and the same, right? There's no separation between them. So every time I think about death, it's almost like I'm already dead in a way. I mean, there's no separation really.
You've never been born and you've never died.
Right, right. So both of them are illusions, death and life.
Right. That was why I said my identity doesn't depend on
Right.
being born or having died. It's just we are. We
Right,
exist prior to time, space, and energy.
right,
But what I was talking about is the meat, fish, chicken, and dairy clog the nadis or the channels through which the kundalini goes.
right. So in that sense is to spiritualize the conditioned body and mind because that needs those practices, but not who we essentially are. That's
No.
pure, right? There's no practice to get there because we're already that, right?
We are that, and there's nothing to attain because we've already attained it.
Yeah.
We just have to wake up to that.
Yes, at that level of body mind, right?
And whatever is the kundalini, it turns out in all the traditions. The Zen Buddhists, you examine what they're talking about, and those talk about where that awakened. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just what happens. It's just part of the path. Now there is a thing called kundalini yoga, but this is not what I'm talking about.
Right.
That's just focusing on awakening the kundalini. It just happens naturally.
Yes.
The safest way is what we just did, by look, by touch, the transfer of energy, the Shaktipat. That's the safest way with lineage. Without lineage, it gets a lot of people come to me and somehow they got awakened and it's like they're having trouble, and I'll give them Shaktipat in a meditation group, and then the lineage will bring it in order.
Oh, I see. It's is that the integration? Some people call it the integration
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that felt knowledge with consciousness, pure consciousness with the conditioned body mind. So they come in alignment and
Well, you bring it with the Shakti pot where I give the touch. They're connected to this 8,000 year lineage or 4,000 year Torah lineage. You see what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
And that stabilizes it. It's an energetic that generation.
Ah. So it's not an integration. It's stabilizing. It's balance. Is that creating balance? I'm trying to understand.
It
That's
does. It creates balance in the sense that the lineage kind of balance it because you're taking the lineage energy as part of
yeah.
what keeps it in order.
Right. Right. Yeah.
If that makes sense. It just
Yes. Yeah.
when I'm doing family therapy, I look at, well, what did your parents do? What did your grandparents do?
Yeah.
And then we have your grandmother and your mother. What was
Yeah.
she going on in the womb for her? And do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Wow.
everyone affects everybody, and you're affected by your personal lineage,
Yeah.
okay, and you're also affected by the spiritual lineage. But it's stable; it holds it
Yes.
in place.
After that, it still takes practice, right, Gabriel, to keep it that way. Or once it's stabilized, it stays for the rest of your life, or
No, it's a very good question. Okay, people can get the Kundalini awakened, but if they aren't living the life, it goes down. It
uh,
damages down,
it, right.
and that's really a tragedy because you have this incredible gift.
Right.
I've had people come to me and it's like, oh, geez, I was waking 20 years ago, but I didn't do meditate. I didn't.
Yeah.
So, they get Shakti pot, we get them started again. Now, this time, you got a gift.
Yeah.
It's late. Now, let's activate it and then do the work.
Right. You see, there's work in everything. It's commitment really to living
Yeah,
the spiritual life.
yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
agree.
But I'm going to just say one more
Yeah.
thing. The
Yes.
primal urge in life is not death or sex, it's liberation.
Mm. Yes, I love that message in your book. Yeah, that's you say it. Oh, I have it here. So again, the title of your book is Into the Nothing, a Spiritual Autobiography. We're almost at the end, and I want to mention that because I have the list of quotes, the ones that caught my attention the most, and you say exactly that. You say the urge, page 165. The urge for spiritual liberation is the ultimate primer urge of all human life.
Yes.
Ah, and I often ask the question about why do some of us show interest and are open to this ultimate goal per se, and some never do. Uh, I know it's almost like an opinion. It is an opinion, right? Looking at some other people.
For me, it's not an opinion. I mean, I'll just say
Yeah.
everybody has their time.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
I was kind of activated. I had TB when I was 1 year old, and that's 1943. That's almost sure death. Well, I survived, but I wasn't a victim. I just had the question: What's the mission of life and death? What is this about?
Yeah.
Okay. When I was 8, I was already having visions. Now I didn't choose that.
Right.
See, when I was 16, other things happened. So it just happens to us.
Yeah.
When the door opens, as I say, walk through. Now,
Yeah.
for other people,
Mm.
it's not their time,
Yes.
and they have
Yeah.
more lifetimes that they need to go through before it's time.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's all about kind of
Mm.
timing and knowing your time, knowing when it's your time, and then
Yes.
go for it when it's your time.
Right.
That's how I kind of see it.
Yeah, that really resonates true to me. So, in a way, a pure consciousness, God, the source, is very patient and loving, right? It waits for everyone to come to it, to return to it.
It's our karmic program. If it's this
Yeah.
lifetime to awaken, then it's going to be this lifetime, but then take advantage. If
Yes,
it
right.
isn't, just still do the practices because that will speed it up for your next lifetime.
Yes. Right. So, right. Right, the next lifetime. So there's so much to talk about. Again, I would stay here with you forever, Gabriel, because this is what I live for some reason.
because it's your karma.
Right.
It's the primal urge that you're living out. You're doing
Yes.
it. You're
Yes.
driven.
Yes.
And that's healthy and that's good. Door
Yes.
opens, walk through it.
Yes. It's exactly. Yeah. 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 I'm here. I'm
We
open.
honor you
Yes.
for that. That's really good. I love it.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for your presence. And so before we say goodbye for today, within this interview, I would like to ask you two questions. If there's one message you wish everyone to take with them, I know you just said one that's one of the most powerful ones, liberation. If this is our time, the door will open, just walk in. But is there any other messages you wish everyone who watches this video to be aware of and to take with them to their hearts?
Well, Ein Zolato, there's only God.
Yeah.
And if we see everything as the dance of the divine, it changes our experience of life.
Yes.
So just enjoy the dance of the divine,
Yeah.
and that gets you back in the spiritual dance. But that's it. That's the message: is just see the play of the divine everywhere. It does change your life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it. And that's sounds like a practice again for the conditioned body mind, but yes,
Yeah.
it resonates true to the heart. Right. Thank you for saying that. And a technical question: what is the best place to find information about you and your book, Into the Nothing? What is the link that people can just click? I'll have below the interview, the video interview.
Yeah. drcousens.com. And we are actually having basically selling the book at cost plus shipping. You know,
Yes.
and just go to drcousens.com and there'll be a button about store, and you push that, and it'll take you to
To
another
your books.
Dr. Cousens Global. But just that's simple.
Okay.
And then I have another website, treeoflife.mn.co. And from drcousens.com, you go to that, and you can see all the programs. You know, we have weekly meditations. I have a Brazil program. I have kind of an international program,
Yes.
for people, and spiritual nutrition program. I have different programs.
Yes, you do have a lot of offerings. I'll have those links on your on an interview profile, so it's clickable, accessible. Thank you so much again for your presence, Gabriel, and we'll talk
Well,
soon.
thank you, and I
Thank
bless you in all your good work. It has been
you.
really fun to work with you.
I know I feel the same.
So
So we'll
keep
talk soon.
shining and bringing that light. And
Yes.
everyone who's listening, may you be blessed. Bring that light to yourself, to everyone around you.
Yes. Amen. Thank you so much. Bye for now.